Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to cut and sew this Victorian corset that we drafted the pattern in my previous tutorial. I'll be dropping a link in the description box to the video of the pattern drafting, but in this tutorial we are just going to learn how to cut and sew a Victorian corset with a detachable puff sleeve. If this looks like something you are interested in, kindly watch this video to the very end. Thank you, and let's get started. I already transferred my pattern to the fabric and I added 1 inch sewing allowance all round. So you can add 0.5, 0.75 or 1 inch. This depends on the type of boning technique you want to add. And by the side I added 1.5 inches for my joining allowance. After this I added my fusible interface to both the fabric and the lining. So after this now we are going to start by arranging. And as for the back pattern, I did the same thing. I cut 2 for each of the pieces. Then I had my fusible interface to both the lining and the fabric. So then I added 1 inch for my sewing allowance as well. So you are going to do this for all your fabrics or your pattern and your fabric. This is a complete back pattern. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to separate this pattern from my fabric and I'm going to arrange the fabric accordingly. This is the reason why you need to label your pattern correctly so that when you want to arrange, it will be easier for you. So I'm just going to arrange this back pattern and I'm going to pin together the parts that I'm going to be joining together. So when you are doing this, you need to be very careful because we have up to 6 pieces for the back pattern alone. When we are drafting this pattern, we indicated that we are going to be cutting 2 for each of this piece. That is why I have 6 pieces for the back pattern. When you are arranging your pattern, you make sure that each of the patterns are facing where you are supposed to face. So that is why you need to indicate on your pattern with an arrow where each of this fabric is going to be facing, and with this you'll be able to know where exactly you are going to be pinning together. Just like you see me doing, you carefully arrange your pattern. It is really important, and make sure you notch and indicate the upper part, especially for the back pattern. Sometimes it can be confusing. So you need to indicate the upper part and the down part so that you don't mix your pattern up. Alright, so I'm going to do that now. Pin my pieces together just like you see me doing. Then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the lining for the back pattern. Then after this I'm going to do the same thing for the front. And as for the front, we are going to be having 6 pieces just like that of the back, because this pattern we have 3 patterns for the front as well, and I cut 2 of each except for the center front that is on fold. So here is the front pattern set. This is what it's going to look like. So after which I'm done arranging this, I'm going to arrange the lining as well. Then I'm going to be joining all these pieces that I have. I'm going to be joining them together. So the same way you join the lining, the same way you're going to join your fabric as well. The reason why I added 1 inch for my sewing allowance is because it creates a bone channel, and I'm going to be inserting my boning inside the bone channel. So you can decide on any type of bone channel you want to use. So after this, I'm going to join all my pieces together for both front and back. So guys, I've joined my pattern together, and here is the back pattern. As you can see, after joining, I open press my seams. Then at the same time I do the same thing for the front. Then my bone channel, as you can see, I open it up on both sides. I give it a proper press. So what I'm going to do next, then the back pattern as well, the back lining, I open press it. So what I'm going to do next now is to place the front and the back on each other. So you're going to come in with your back pattern and place it like so. Then I'm going to mark my sewing allowance of 1.5 inches on both sides of this. The sewing allowance of 1 inch that I added is just to create a bone channel where I'm going to be inserting my boning. The kind of boning I'm going to be working with here is a plastic boning, also known as a non-sewable boning. So if you have a regular boning, you can always make use of it, just like this one that I have here. So here is the regular boning. It has a side, a tiny line that you can sew on, this tiny line here. Then this is a plastic boning, which is also called the insertable boning, and we have different sizes. So the size depends on the sewing allowance that you have. So I'm going to be sewing by the side, and after sewing I'm going to insert the boning inside. So that is why you need to make sure that the allowance that you have on both sides is up to 0.75 at least. If you want to use the regular boning, you are just going to place it on the sewing allowance and sew it down. You can do this on the main fabric or on the lining, but for this one I'm going to be making use of this plastic boning. Then if you want to create a bone channel, you're going to get a fabric of about 1.5 inches wide. It can be the same color with your fabric, it can be any color from your fabric, and it's going to be outside. But for this one, I just want to have everything inside. So what I'm going to do now is to sew down all the seam allowance that I have. I'm going to sew it by the edge, and if you want to create another bone channel, you can simply do that. But for this one, I just want to maintain my sewing allowance area. So if you want to do that, you can simply measure and mark like so. Then you're going to be creating another bone channel. Then if you want to create a bone channel on your fabric, you're going to get the fabric like so. It's going to be about 2 inches wide. Then you're going to be placing it on all the lines that you have. So it can either be any type of color, any type of fabric. You're going to place it like so. You run a stitch on it first, then you fold it and flip it over. Alright, just like this. You're going to fold it once like this, then you're going to sew it down again. So it's inside this is where you're going to insert your boning, just like you see me doing. Alright, so you can decide to make use of a different color of fabric, and at the same time you can decide to make use of your main fabric, just like the ones that I have here. Alright, so you are going to do all this on all the lines that you have here, including this center line, this post area line. But this one I'm not going to be having any bone channel. I just want it to be as plain as possible. And then if you want to use a regular boning, the same thing goes to the back. Now I'm going to join the front and back together. So guys, I've joined the front and back together by the side, and this is what you're going to have. It's going to give you a single piece, and you're going to be having one opening at the back where we are going to have our lacing. And as you can see, I already stitched down my sewing allowance, and then I did the same thing for the back. So except for the front that I'm stitching both sides, the back I just flip the allowance to one side and I stitch it down. Okay, so and as you can see, we have two sewing lines at the front and one at the back. So the next thing you're going to do now, you're going to be placing the lining on the main fabric. So you're going to join the lining exactly the way you join your main fabric. Then I'm going to make sure that you align it, everything is in place. So after this now, I'm going to align the upper part and the center back. Then I'm going to pin it down. After pinning it down, I'll take it to my sewing machine, and then I'm going to sew it with 0.5 inch sewing allowance. Now I'm done joining the upper part, and what I did next after joining is that I top stitch. So top stitching will help you secure your lining in place. You're going to top stitch on the lining alone. So after this now, the next thing I want to do now is to join this center back together. So I'm going to flip it to the wrong side on both sides of this. Remember, we are going to be having like two sides like that. So I'm going to flip it over like so, folding the allowance like so, and I'm going to stitch it down with 0.5 inches sewing allowance. Guys, now I'm done doing that, and this is what it should look like by the time you're done. And the other side, it should look like this as so. So if you have a means of a pressing iron, you can simply press it immediately. So the next thing we are going to do now is to be inserting our plastic boning in all of the bone channels we created earlier. Then after this, we are going to be placing a ready-made bra cup, which is going to be stopping exactly on our under bust line. So when I want to insert my boning on that particular center front line, I'm going to stop exactly on my under bust line. I already have this ready-made bra cup, which I covered with another fabric. So I already have a tutorial on how to cover a ready-made bra cup. In case you are interested in that video, kindly let me know. So we are going to be placing the bra cup exactly on the under bust line, because that is where our boning is going to stop for the particular bone channel. Then we are going to be fixing it like so. Although this bra cup is optional, that is if you have your wording on your pattern, just like you do for your straight bustier. If you do not know how to cut and sew a straight bustier, I have a video link in the description box. Kindly check that. So after inputting or inserting your bra cup, it's just going to help secure the bust area. So I'm going to be placing it on both sides, and that is after which I've done inserting my boning. That is. Now I'm going to insert the boning in all of the bone channels that I have, both the front and the back, then we are going to move to the next step. So now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to be creating a bone channel at the center back, because here we are going to be having our highlight. So we need to have a boning here, and then we're going to have another one. So the highlight is going to be between the two bonies, like this at the center. Now that I've created the bone channel, and I will insert a boning inside like this. So the highlight is going to be in between this boning and this other one. So I'm going to be inserting another one here, after which you are done inserting for both sides. So whatever you do on one side, you are going to do on the other side. So after which you are done with that, you are going to place your ready-made bra cup at the bust point line like I demonstrated earlier. Then we are going to finish up with the hem of the top. So to finish up with the hem of the top, we are going to be cutting a strap of fabric like the ones that I have here. So it's going to be about 2 inches wide. For the length, is going to be exactly what you have at the hem of your top. So you're going to measure around the hem of your top like so to create this fabric. You start the sewing from the back and you flip it back to the front. And after this, you're going to give your top a proper press. You're going to iron it flat so that the bodice can relax. After which I'm done turning it, I fixed the eyelet, and this is what it looks like. So we are going to put it on a mannequin now, and this is what it looks like at the end. All right, so if you want to have a multiple fabric or multiple colors, you can always work with whatever you feel like. And as for the sleeve, this is a detachable puff sleeve in which you can style any way you want. So I'll be dropping the link to the video on how I make this puff sleeve in the description box, so kindly check that out as well. Then I'm also going to drop a link to the pattern drafting of this Victorian corset and some other interesting tutorials that you might find interesting. So guys, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you find it very helpful, kindly click on the like button, give it a thumbs up, click on the share button. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. It's totally free, and turn on the notification bell so that whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first person to know. And please drop your comments, your thoughts, or your suggestion in the comment section. Till next time that we'll meet again in my next tutorial. Bye bye and take care of yourself.